Okay, so we're going to look at something called the TVM Solver. Now, the TVM Solver stands for Time Value Money. And this is a tool that can be used to help you manage your finances, to plan. It's very much a real world tool that people in the financial industry would use to answer simple problems. And so let's take a look at what it can actually do, and then we'll talk about maybe how it does it. So we've seen this type of question before. A principal of $5,000 is invested for 4 years at 3% compounded annually. What is the final amount? So the TVM Solver can answer this for us very quickly. So in this case, I'm investing $5,000, and it is for 4 years at 3%, compounded annually, and I want the final amount. So according to this, I will have $5,627.54. So before we were using a formula and a spreadsheet to calculate this, we can now use the TVM Solver to do it a lot quicker. The principal of $5,000 is invested at 3% compounded annually. How long does it take to grow to $10,000? Now this is a different kind of problem. We haven't done problems like this where we said how long does something take. So in this case, I'm going to tell the TVM Solver that I'm putting in $5,000. I'm going to be taking out $10,000. Interest rate is 3. And I'm going to this time solve for n. So according to this, it takes a little bit over 23 years. So here's another question where we are taking $2,000, we're depositing it, and then we want to withdraw it in 10 years and have $4,000, and we want to know what interest rate do we need for that to happen. So you may have noticed that I'm putting a negative sign when I put in the PV value. So this is sort of like I'm taking money out of my wallet, and at the end, I'm going to put the money back into my wallet, so it's positive, and it's a $4,000 amount. So the time is $10, 10 years, and we want to solve for the interest rate. Okay, so we get an interest rate of 7.18%. Principal of $5,000 is invested for 4 years at 3% compounded semi-annually. What's the final amount? This is similar to one of the previous questions, except we just changed it to semi-annually. So we've got 4 years, 3%. We're going to take that $5,000 out of our wallet. We're going to be solving for the final value. And we want to tell the TVM Solver that we are compounding 2 times per year. So after the 4 years, we will have $5,632.46. You'll notice that this value is slightly higher than the previous example by a few dollars. Okay, so up to now I've been using the TVM solver. I haven't really told you what the variables are. Let's take a look closely at what the definition of each variable is. So N stands for the total number of years. I is the annual percentage rate, and you'll notice that I didn't convert it to a decimal when I typed it in. PV is our principal. It actually stands for present value. PMT we're not going to talk about. We're going to leave it at 0 for this course. FV is our amount. It's also known as our future value. PY is something else that we're not using in this course. Always leave that set to 1. And C per Y is the number of times or periods per year that interest compounds. So here, very similar to the previous question, we've got 4 years, 3%, present value, negative 5,000. We want the final, the final amount, which is our future value or amount, and we are compounding 4 times per year. So we're solving for future value, and we get an even higher amount than we did before. Example 6. Okay, same question. What if we change it to monthly? So all I have to do is change this one number to 12. Recalculate the future value. You're going to notice it goes up a little bit. Example 7. We need $10,000 in 15 years from now. We know that we can invest money and earn interest at a rate of 7% compounded quarterly. What principal should we deposit today so that we have enough in 15 years? So we know our interest rate is 7. The present value is what we don't know. That's what we're going to solve for. The future value is going to be that positive $10,000 that we get to take out of the bank and put back into our wallet. And we know that we're compounding quarterly, so that's 4 times per year. We're going to solve for present value. That's the money that we need to take out of our wallet now to put into the bank so that in the future we have $10,000. So when I click present value, I'm expecting a negative number here. So today we have to deposit a little bit over $3,500. And then in 15 years we will have $10,000. Should be beginning to see how this tool could be used for your own personal finances. What if we want the $10,000 in 5 years instead of the 15? So we've changed that. We're going to solve for the present value. Should we be expecting a larger number or a smaller number? Number is much larger. And that's because we have less time to allow it to grow from interest. So it makes sense that this number is larger than the previous example. Same example, except we are going to change the interest rate to 2%. Do you expect this value to go up or down? We need to get the same amount of money in the same amount of time, but the interest rate is going to pay us less. So if you guessed that it would be larger, you are correct. We need much closer to $10,000 to reach that $10,000 mark because we're only getting paid 2%. So that kind of makes sense.